J here. A double shot espresso, maybe, perhaps, or just a double shot of me. Uh, I'm supposed to be doing Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, but I have a really good reason why I'm here right now. I got to get up tomorrow. We got to get our ass in gear, and we're going to the Bristol races for the rest of the week in Bristol, Tennessee. I've got a lot of freaking things I got to do today in preparation for this rest of the week trip. I'm so excited because during the whole time we're down there, if we're not at the races and we're at the RV, Wayne is going to be sitting in his gravity chair doing absolutely nothing, which brings me lots of pleasure. Good morning, DD Sunshine, Vix Tex, Elba Lopez, Bryn Marshall. Good morning, y'all. So I thought, well, I'm not going to be able to get with them on Wednesdays, and I did tell everybody Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. So I'll get with them today because, again, y'all, this isn't about us just hooking the damn Denali up to the RV and heading to Bristol. It's about I got a lot of crap to do around here. I've got laundry I've got to get done. Make sure everything is tidied up, but so when we come back, I don't have nothing that I have to throw my hands up in the air about. Good morning, Teresa and Chris Arnett. So I do, honestly. I went to bed last night and I left a sink full of dishes. And I do have a good excuse for that. Number one, I didn't want to do the damn dishes. Number two, the top rack in our dishwasher is broke. You know, the top rack that has the little thing that whirls around. We got the bottom one. And I've been doing like dishes, like putting it on the bottom rack there and running it on high to make sure, you know, or heavy or whatever you call it, to make sure the dishes get done on the bottom level. But we have a broken dishwasher, and woe is OKJ, because I spent many years hand washing dishes, and I'm sure many of y'all to this day hand wash dishes. Which, by the way, washing dishes by hand is more sanitizing. It's better to do it, especially if you're doing it in hot water. But the bottom line is I've got the everyday things to do today in preparation. Have it all done. You know how you say, well, I've got these things to do today. I'm going to try to get as much of it as I can done. I don't think there's been a time here in the last freaking year that I have finished today saying I got it all finished. No, there's always tomorrow, right? Well, this situation with us being gone the rest of the week, I've got to have it all done, and I will. You know, all kinds of stuff. I mean, this isn't about just getting the house prepared so when I come home, everything's fine. It's about going out there to the RV, doing some dusting, plugging in the little plug-ins to make everything nice and fresh. Good morning, Mikkel Callahan. Do I write it down? Says DD Sunshine. No, I don't write it down. The only thing I write down is my grocery list. And usually when I go to the grocery store, I either forget the grocery list at home or I've left it out in the car. This goes back to memory. Folks, yesterday, I'm sitting there talking about 13 years ago. Yeah, we've got a 13th anniversary for 9/11. And y'all caught me on it. I don't know where I got that number. And this live stream could very well be about the mistakes we make, whether they're little or big. What do we do about them? Or where the hell has the time gone, right? Those are two topics that I feel like are important to explore. And so I guess I'll probably just talk about those things. Hand washing here, says Vix Tex. Good morning, Language of Horses. 1979 ACR, good morning to you. pretty flower and heart there. So I got up this morning, y'all, and I went down the hallway, got my coffee as usual, sat down, was sipping on it, thinking about yesterday, basically, which is a big no-no for me unless there's something yesterday that I need to remember that I've got to do today. And I thought about how in the hell did I get 9/11 at a 13-year anniversary when it was 22-year anniversary. And then, of course, my heart sunk there for a minute. I'm like, freaking 22 years ago, right? And yet I'm saying 13 years ago. And where did that 13 number come from? And then from there, my thinking, and I'm sharing this with y'all. Well, that was back in 2010. And hey, Rays, can you tell me right now what you were doing in 2010? Because I'm going to tell you right now that there are a few things that I remember about 2010, but hell, nobody's got it down. Nobody can say exactly what happened every month of that year. Sure as hell can't say what happened every day of that year. So if you want to look at it in the light of, well, it was 2010. That was 9 years later from 9/11. And then I really started bearing down what was KJ doing in 2010. I was in a new marriage for a while there, getting used to living with Mr. Wayne, which has been a joy. Just a lot of new experiences that I had not experienced before. The time before that we got married and all that, y'all, I'm working a full-time job, going to school. I'm a single parent for 7 freaking years. It was a struggle. There were times during that 7 years of being on my own that I quite vividly, like it happened yesterday, had those thoughts of when is it going to get better? Am I going to survive? Am I making the right choices when it comes to my kids? It really comes down to, unless I can remember pivotal moments of 2010, or maybe traumatic things, or even happiness, things that happened that you can just latch on to about 2010. It just seems like everything else is a blur. Good morning, Ramona Fosley. Good morning, Sheila Forrest. Yeah, we all make mistakes, Sheila Forrest, for sure. I make mistakes every single day of my life. What am I supposed to do about that? Beat myself up about it? Knowing good and damn well that if I had not, if I'd just taken the time to really think about 2001 as opposed to 2023, y'all, I hadn't had enough coffee. And that's my excuse, and it's a damn good excuse. I just wasn't to myself. But it has made me realize that 13 years ago, it was 2010. And how much do I think about what went on in 2010? Because, folks, every second, every moment of our life adds to us. I'm one of these people that use the metaphor of the rings in the tree. You know, how you can chop a tree and look and count the rings and everything. And that it all leads back to that little sapling, that little child. Good morning, Lori McCone, Cindy Bullock, Valerie Moore, CDM, good morning, Mariah Stostola, good morning, y'all. So yes, I think it's quite refreshing whenever I go on any social media thing and somebody makes a mistake, it reminds me that it's all not just a bunch of plasticity, that it's not just all so scripted and rehearsed, and that, believe it or not, y'all, all human beings make mistakes. The only thing that really bothers me about making that mistake yesterday, saying 13 years instead of 22, was it was a very solemn, important date. Thus, it was 9/11. And I can't tell you how I've been or what I've been doing every year of every anniversary of 9/11. I can't even tell you exactly what was going on 13 years ago, other than to say birthdays and holidays and, a major event. I hadn't been married to Wayne very long. Things had changed dramatically. Good morning, daughter of Scotland. Good morning, fancy Nancy Bergbauer. I mean, if you really stopped and said, what was I doing in 2010? I would be impressed if anyone on here would share what they were doing in 2010, because then I would say, if they can remember what was going on in 2010, then I should be able to as well. But we're all at a different place in our life, and some things stick with us more than others. Right. Uh, it took a few of y'all, DD Sunshine, to remind me. No, KJ, it wasn't 13 years ago. It was 22 years ago, and I thank y'all for that. I have found in my 52 years, at least in the last 10 years, that I really, truly try not to sweat the small stuff. But I don't like to make mistakes because I like to be right in terms of your information. Not about being right about everything, because God knows I'm probably, let's just say I'm more wrong than I'm right. I can accept that. But when you have that feeling that you're more wrong than right, we're not talking about morals and ethics. We're talking about just getting facts wrong or right. But it's through those times of getting it wrong, and it sits with me like, you got that answer wrong there, that it beckons me. It beckons me to go find the answer. Um, and it helps me to fill in those blanks of the times that I am wrong. I mean, every one of us, y'all, every one of us has made mistakes. Little mistakes, big mistakes. Um, you know, I just honestly just want to live out my life at this point now that I'm a little older and have a little bit of, just a tiny little tad of wisdom, which comes from experience, to say to myself, there are ways that I can correct those mistakes, and then there are some mistakes I'm not going to be able to correct. DD Sunshine says, I can't tell you about 2010. Why is that? I'd say if we really dug down into it, maybe looked at old pictures that's got stamps on the back of them, or maybe if we journal or talk to other people that were in our life in 2010, we could put back together things that we remember about that were big things that helped us learn and grow. I was getting ready to work and had TV on and saw the planes hit in real time, saw them collapse. My brother parked his car at the Pentagon and worked a different area. It was surreal, says Valerie Moore. Yes, we did. We talked about 9/11, the actual day yesterday. What I am bringing forth in my mistake is that I thought it was the 13th anniversary of 9/11 when it was actually the 22nd anniversary of 9/11. So with that being said, that was 13 years ago, y'all. It's 2010. What were you doing? What was going on in 2010 in your life? That's wonderful, Cindy Bullock. Cindy says, I'm always working on myself to improve. Dee Dee Sunshine said, I just turned 63 in August, so we could start there. In 2010, let's see, I was exactly 30 years old on 9/11, the day that the incident happened. So 9 years after that, I was nearly 40 years old. Donna Donald says, in 2010, I lost my job and got another job. The last year of my relationship with the love of my life, 2011, oh Lord. So there you go. Donna's able to recall those things because of these major changes in her life. They say some of the most stressful things is the death of a loved one, moving, changing jobs. Those things can really, really sit with you. And then she goes on, Donna talks about 2011, and oh Lord could mean just about anything. Could mean, oh Lord, my year was wonderful. Oh Lord, it got worse. Siggy D09 says, good morning, y'all. In 2001, I was 16. In 2010, I was working at a cool call center. And KJ, it was an honest mistake. You're awesome, just so you know. Oh, I know, Ziggy. What I'm trying to do is, kind of like what I talked about yesterday, but, finding something good to come out of such devastation. Well, now it's about making my mistakes. Obviously, my hope is if I don't remember, that I learned a lesson from it. But what about all these other things that that become part of us? That we really don't, it's not in the forefront of our mind when someone says, what was you doing in 2010? Can we go back through our recollection, see some unresolved thing that we need to learn a lesson from, and with the age and the experience that we have now, the whole thing, I wished I knew now what I knew then. Well, in some ways you can, because you can go back if you're thoughtful about it. Don't live in the past, but go back and say, well, in 2010, I did this thing. It was a mistake. I've thought about it, and there was really no resolution. Nothing ever really was learned from it. But now that I'm older, what can I learn from that now, since I didn't learn anything from it then? Does that make sense to y'all? Well, maybe I am confusing you, Dee Dee Sunshine. When you say now you're saying 2001, that can't be what happened in 2010. I think there's being a misunderstanding. Let me just foundationally say this. Yesterday, I said it was the 13th anniversary of the 2001 9/11, right? It wasn't. It was 22 years. There was a mistake made there on my part. I chalk it off that I hadn't had enough coffee. Then I went from there to say, okay, I made that mistake. What was I doing 13 years ago from 2023? That would be 2010. Why is it that there's only certain things that I recall from 2010, whether they're big life events, whether they're things that I learned that I can just go to, and then the whole rest of the year, KJ has problems trying to figure out everyday lessons that I either learned and I don't remember, or I didn't learn the lessons and I don't remember, right? Ziggy says it's how we grow, learning from our past, from our mistakes, and learning from experience. Donna Donald says, boy, I need to get over it. Are you talking about 2011? If you're talking about 2011, then you do recall, Donna, what it was in 2011 that you need to get over. Whatever that may be, that's your own private life. But at least you are aware, and awareness is half the battle. It's never been about going back through your life, taking what they call an inventory, and living there. It's about just, if there's something that can be recollected that was not resolved, if there was some beautiful moment in your life back in 2010 or any other year for that matter, that maybe you didn't see it at the time, how fabulous it was, but now that you've had years ahead, 13 years, y'all, 13 years ahead of it, and you look back, what lessons, what joy could be expressed today over something that should have been expressed back then? Does this make sense? Hello, Olive. Hello, Maggie Lee. Hello, Philly. Maybe I'm just on a Tuesday tantrum here. Maybe I'm making it too difficult because it's too early in the morning. What I am trying to demonstrate is that yesterday I made a mistake. I'm not mad at myself or down on myself about it. What I'm trying to say is, I said it was 13-year anniversary. It was a mistake, right? So what can I do about that mistake? Well, how about my way of doing things might not be your way of doing things, and I look back 13 years from today, and it comes up to 2010, and what went on during that time? Is everything resolved, or is it just all just in the past? It's in the shitter, or it's just a memory of this or a memory of that, and the rest of it's just one complete blur. And in that blur, could there have been lessons learned that maybe I need to hold on to that I have forgotten? Some of the best lessons in life, y'all, can actually be forgotten. We talk about never forget 9/11 and the devastation and the terror and the hurt and the loss of life. What about these things that I know good and damn well, y'all? I know good and damn well we learn every day. Are they things that go into the subconscious? Is these things that we just, don't think nothing of? Hello, humble travelers. CHP says, drink some coffee, no worries. Good point, DD Sunshine. 13 years from now, will you remember today in 2033? That's actually, that proves to me that you're kind of understanding where I'm coming from on this. What lesson, 13 years from now in 2033, DD, am I going to look back and say, do I remember sitting on this chat with some lovely, wonderful folk? Will I? And what lessons did we learn together, if we learned anything? Maybe we're just here having coffee and nothing's learned at all. I beg to differ, though. I love the Christmas mug, Humble Traveler, because it's light, but let me just show you something. See the chip? I'm unwilling to give it up. I'm unwilling to give the cup up. I've got several cups that's got chips in them. So I just turn them around, because if I try to drink from this side, I might cut my lip. CHP says, I haven't learned anything. Well, I'll tell you what, CHP, if you believe that, If that is a belief that you truly believe that you haven't learned anything, you stopped and you thought about it, you say that, I haven't learned anything, you are self-aware. If you want to, you can learn that you have an awareness. There you go. So, in 2010, my life was drastically different. I had gone from low income, single parent, raising 3 kids, uh, meeting Wayne, uh, eventually marrying. Been the best damn thing that ever happened to me. My life changed in all areas. I actually had someone who knew who I was. I knew from the moment he looked me in the eyes and was just talking to me about whatever he was talking about. I knew we connected. Good morning, Sugar Mom. My grandma used to say when I would get worked up about something, nobody would know anything about that in 100 years, says Donna Donald. Well, I mean, there's a lot of things we know all the way back from ancient times. But it's not like everyday people like old KJ, old run-of-the-mill country girl from Tennessee. What does anything I have to share or say, how's that going to do anything for anybody, right? Olive Heatley says in 2010, my granddaughter was born. See those beautiful gifts, those blessings. Those are things that I think I can only speak for myself. I can remember those, but even then, y'all, I have to really think what went on in 2010. I honestly cannot believe that it has been 22 years since 9/11, that devastating terrorist attack on the United States. It's been 22 years. If I think about it like this, it's been over 4 years since we've had this channel open. Do you really, Donna Donald? You want to hear about me and Mr. Wayne? Okay, well I can tell you a little bit about it. I mean, we're 2 peas in a pod. It was like there was no uncomfortableness about getting to know each other when we first got married and all that. I'll share a little bit of privacy with y'all about this. The first year of our marriage, he would follow me around the house. And, just, we were like lovey-dovey, following me around in the house. He doesn't do that anymore. It got bad there one time. He walked into the bathroom. I'm sitting on the pot, and I looked at him, and I said, Wayne, you're going to have to You're going to have to stop following me around the house. I thought that was funny, and he didn't do it since. We had a great first year, second year. Every year, it just seems like the love grows, Well, rated PG, Miss KJ, when you say that CHP, obviously, there are things I'm not going to talk about. We're all adults here. This channel has been set so no kids get on it, but we've all learned through all this that kids hop on these channels, so I'm conscientious about it. But we've had a good marriage thus far. We've had our ups and downs, but it's never been nothing that we even considered something where you needed to go to a marriage counselor or, we've had our little spits and spats, no fighting. I've watched my husband grow older, and he's watched me grow older. But we've sat down and talked about it. I mean, he still sees me as that girl he married, and I still see him as the man he is when I married him. It's like you just stay who you were, even if he has to see the gray hair and the body going downhill and the gravity and all that. I mean, he doesn't see me like that today. He still sees me as the woman I was when he met me and we got married, and I feel the same way for him. Humble Traveler says, I'm blessed with a good man. Well, that's good. Because my ex-husband was a damn asshole. And I swore off men after my divorce with him, and didn't, and I honest never saw all this coming. I'm glad that it happened. I want to walk the rest of my time in this life with Mr. Wayne. I try not to think about the fact that one day one of us are going to die before the other, or that we might die together. I mean, I don't sit and morbidly think about, well, something we all know and that we're all going to die. He has taught me that every moment that we are together is a moment that we didn't have to have. We could have decided not to get married. We could have decided, just to be friends. We could have decided never to even meet, you know. Good morning, Nettie. CHP says, my husband gets my depends for me. Well, that's love. That's what it is, CHP. Because I will tell you this right now. I've always said this, and y'all can ask Mr. Wayne this next time you see him on the live stream if he comes on briefly. Or if we sit down together one day, just like some of y'all were talking about, maybe we should do a couple thing there. But the most love in a marriage is when Wayne would have to help me to the bathroom, or if I had to help him to the bathroom, or if we both got to a place where we were in a wheelchair. That's true love. That's devotion. That's loyalty. All this romantic stuff is wonderful. Being active physically out here in the world, doing adventures together, doing all those things. But true love is being there for that person, and that person knowing that you're going to take care of them in their weakness and vulnerabilities. That's true love to me. There are some of you on here that are alone. And I've lived a life before having kids where I was alone. Grant you, I was younger and I was out there socializing with all kinds of people, but ultimately I was alone. That was my alone time. As soon as I had children, I was not alone anymore. Marriage, a failed marriage, down the shitter. I was not alone. After losing that husband, I still had my children. And also, when Wayne and I got together, I never felt alone again. But what happens if he goes on to meet the Lord one day? He's going to be 70 years old, y'all, in October. He's probably going to outlive me, but I'm just as for sake of argument. Am I going to be alone? I probably will. I mean, I don't see myself remarrying after if something happened to Wayne. There's no way when you find that true love like that, that someone's going to be able to at least balance that, much less better it. Humble Traveler says, I have that. My husband is my full-time career. Everybody's relationships, whether you're married, whether you have friends, whether you are with family, whether you're alone. I have not met anyone yet that doesn't have the potential to develop those relationships, even if it's with someone, just a brief acquaintance friendship. I'm one of these staunch believers that God, and I believe God, that He wants us all to have a relationship with our fellow human beings. Let me just also reemphasize what OKJ has said before. If we have people on here that are being disruptive, please ignore them, block them, or report them. When you put a report in, if more than one person does, they get knocked off of YouTube and they've got to go and create another name, but their account is still tied to that new name, and they're going to have a hard-ass time getting back on YouTube. Is it worth it? The older we get, the deep love I have for my husband, I can never have that for another man, says Kelly Cantrell. I think it's different. When two people come together, they're two unique people, and put together, it has this chemistry or this oneness that can't be duplicated. I think what I'm trying to slice through is that I'm a firm believer that we shouldn't live in the past. We should learn lessons from the past. Our past helps us develop who we are. It's part of us as we go through this growth of our life. It's never ending. It's a process. But is there anything wrong with looking back for a healthy reason, a positive reason of, I see back in 2010, I made this specific mistake. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to reflect on it. Is there anything I can do about it? Can I make amends to somebody about that mistake? If it's got nothing to do with anybody else, is there a lesson I can learn that I just didn't take time to learn back in 2010? And add that today. Because this goes back again to, if I knew back then what I know now, my life had been so much better. Well, let's reverse it. You know what you know today. I feel like everybody, as they get older, get wiser, they have life experiences, and be able to take today, look at something unresolved in the past. If you can deal with it, learn a lesson from it, fine. If not, you can say, I can't learn nothing from it. It's no way to resolve it. At least you are reminded of that moment, and you've resolved it however you want to resolve it. Have a great day, humble travelers. Thank you for joining. Well, thank you, Julia. I just woke up this morning. I don't feel beautiful at all, but if you say I'm beautiful, I'm very touched. I'm humbled that you would say that. Hi, Beach Lady. Always great to spend a day with your babies, says Eric Jasper. For those just joining, the reason I'm doing this on Tuesday is I'm taking off tomorrow in the RV for the rest of the freaking week. We're going up to the Bristol races. If any of y'all are in that area, I'd love to meet you. You don't have to be inside of the racetrack there where you need a ticket. There's all kinds of areas outside that is absolutely free to walk around there. I'll meet any of y'all any time of the day. I'd love to give you a hug, but some of y'all are outside of the Tennessee state there. I will try to give y'all a little taste of my race week here. Making the mistakes that I've made in my life, I'm very well aware of the ones that I haven't resolved. Some of the mistakes I've made, I still live in shame about them. I'm embarrassed about them. But I'm always willing to really think about what it was I made the mistake about. Even if I have to feel those feelings, I've got to stay clear on those mistakes, because even if I don't resolve them, even if it comes down to, well, I can't do shit about it today, or there is no answer to it, there is no way to resolve it, I really believe that down the road, as I grow older, God willing, I don't know how long I'm going to live, there can come a point that it will absolutely make sense, and I can find some resolution on the mistakes of the past. The mechanics of that would be that I would have to stop and think, what was I doing in 2010, right? What was I doing? Is there any way that I can jar that memory through old photographs, journal writings? Can I ask somebody who was around during that time? Can I put two and two together in search of those mistakes that were never resolved that I can today, if it's meant to happen, to resolve in my maturity? I hope so, Eric, in 1979 ACR. I hope we'll have a good time. It'll be nice. Hi, Johan. Hello, hello, hello. I'm all for living in the here and now. And sometimes the here and now takes up enough of my brain space that I don't have time to look at the past. And I sure as hell don't have time to think about what's going to go on down the road in the future. But one thing's for sure, the things in the past and the things in the present does equal into a lot of the future for OKJ. And so if there's anything I can do health-wise, for my own self-care, if there are unresolved things, obviously one thing I do know, and this is according to my belief system, for everything that I could possibly remember that I've sinned about, I've talked to God about it. I mean, not just, oh, you remember back in 2010, Lord? I mean, yes, he knows everything, but it's always better and a sign of faith for OKJ to say, Lord, I remembered this in 2010, and I don't know why I forgot it, but I want to bring this to you, and this is what it is. I'm going to get specific, because that's a sign of my faith. If I've got to hurt through explaining that to my God, if I got to feel ashamed explaining the specificity of these things in my life to God, it absolutely clears a lot of things up for me. It helps me. Other people are like, well, if you can't remember it, it wasn't important. I disagree. Because sometimes it takes a little bit of thinking. And some people say, well, why does anybody want to remember something that was devastating or hurtful or a mistake that a person causes? Why would they want to remember that if it hadn't been resolved? Because every lesson in life doesn't always have to be something good happened, we did something right. Sometimes it's the mistakes that make us stronger and more empathetic, more compassionate. I see things all the time that other people do. I'm not judging them when I say this. I see them do things that I've done myself. And I have empathy for that. And I understand that. Bonnie Shaw, Miss DMC. You know, I'm one of these type people that will answer a question that kind of irritates me, so I'll just go ahead and say it. Hot, I smoke cigarettes because I enjoy them. And, I guess the whole thing is does OKJ know that they're not healthy for me? Well, I'm 52 years old and I know they're not healthy for me. But this goes again to, if I see somebody doing something unhealthy, and trust you me, Hot, I don't think that you can come on here and tell me you do nothing, absolutely nothing unhealthy. It's all about, does somebody want to ask you that about your unhealthiness? Because I guarantee you, even these yoga, bicycle riding people, all these people out here that they try to lead 100% healthy lives, they're doing something unhealthy. You know why? Because we're human beings. I've not met one single person in my 52 years that can come up to me and truthfully say, I do nothing unhealthy. So it really comes down to why ask it in the first place? Is it just curiosity? Is there a larger point in that? Asking, right? I hope that answered your question. Hi, Unicorn Alondria. Alondria. I think I got that right. Which, by the way, today, as I'm speaking about past and possibly future, today it's everyone's right to ask any questions they want. But if you're going to put it out there, just as if I put something I say out there, I got to be able to take other people's views and opinions about it. How am I supposed to take those views and opinions? How am I supposed to react? Well, that's up to me, right? Just as it is up to you on whether you want to ask questions or react to someone else asking you a question. I try to balance being as healthy as possible without making myself miserable, because if I'm miserable, what's the point? Well, there you go, Miss DMC. It really comes down to your philosophy about life, or your worldview, or however you want to put it. Well, Donna, whether it's someone who don't like smokers and they act like they're uppity, I guarantee you there are millions upon millions of people that act uppity over every damn thing you could possibly think of. What about people that believe you shouldn't take caffeine, or you shouldn't eat really yummy food? Oh, yeah, I know. I've done this whole thing where I went and spent $400 or $500 at the grocery store, all organic, salads, vegetables, fruits. It made Wayne and I miserable as hell. Hell, we had really good shits. When we get on the toilet, we had great bowel movements. But the bottom line, and for someone to tell me that all of that makes a person physically feel better. It might to some degree, y'all, but damn, ain't nothing better than a freaking greasy chicken leg, man. Fried chicken, okay? I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna have it. And one day, if I develop some kind of disease because I didn't eat healthy, I'm gonna at least say, well, there are people out here that developed this same damn disease and they ate healthy. Are you being facetious, beach lady? Cuba Booba's going, what? What do y'all know? What the hell are you talking about? I think my facetious, sarcastic is starting to rub off on y'all, or y'all starting to rub off on me. I don't know what it is. Cindy Bullock says it's called choice. We all have it. Hello, Sam Willow. Well, hello, Sarah Army from Italy. I've got I've had a Italian foreign exchange student come and live with Wayne and I for 10 months here in the States in Tennessee. And his family came in from Italy after the 10 months, and we became very close, loving. They're my Italian family. And Wayne and I are planning a trip to Italy next year. Usually, if I don't want to give an answer, I say it's a need to know basis, and you don't need to know, need to effing know. Ian Austin says it's guilty feelings that makes one sick, not greasy food. Well, let me tell you what, Ian. Maybe it's the placebo effect or whatever, but whenever I eat greasy food, it lubes me up. It lubes my digestive, all the little tubes throughout my body. Makes everything slide out real good. My boss was 55 and lived healthy, died of a heart attack. It really, y'all, it really comes down to your DNA, your genetics. My family has a history of high blood pressure, so I shouldn't be eating a lot of salt. But I do, and I enjoy the hell out of it. My taste buds are my own. Praise God, what an experience, KJ. What do you mean by that, Eric? See how you were rewarded and wasn't even looking to be, just helping a kid get an education. Huh. I am the queen of sarcasm, but only when it's funny. Well, I'll tell you what, Beach Lady, I've said a lot of things that I thought was funny, and I meant it to be funny, and I get these blank-ass stares, or that wasn't funny, that's like weak old bread. It all depends on, how a person takes things. Good morning, Elizabeth Shashinsky. Sam Willis says, my grandmother ate bacon grease or sugar in all of her food. Drank bourbon every night, died at age 98. What a life, Sam Willow. God bless your grandmother. Well, that's a life. I mean, there have been times, y'all, that I've seen where they have these little interviews of these people that have lived like 101 and all that, and they say, well, I have my Pepsi, my Coca-Cola Pepsi or my Pepsi drink every day. And then you got people saying, don't drink soda. Don't drink anything. Don't do this. Don't do that. They can go on and do their own shit. Let me do me. You do you. Oh, the foreign exchange student. Okay, there you go, Eric. Sorry. You know, it's morning time, just as I make mistakes every day of my life. Thank you for correcting me on that, or at least clarifying that anyway. I'll tell you what, Eric, he loved the hell out of the Southern cooking here, and I'm going to tell you, them Italians can eat. They can eat. You talking about, I mean, we had to double our food bill while he was here. And he wasn't even overweight or nothing. He just ate a lot. Italians love food. I learned they love their food in terms of not only eating it, but it's like a way for people to fellowship. It's just a labor of love, someone once said on here when I was doing the beef Wellington pie. It's a labor of love to cook. What you think of me is none of my business, says CHP. Kelly Cantrell says, my mom is 93 and her best friend Shirley's having her 100th birthday today. Well, Kelly, you need to go after the rewatch on here and and show it to your mom's friend. Tell them this is what KJ says, okay? Because 100 years is 100 years. Hello, beautiful 100-year-old woman. The life you've led, KJ wants to blow you a kiss and tell you that if it wasn't for you, 100 years of love would have never come out of such beauty. There you go, Kelly. You can rewind it to that one point. Congratulations, beautiful, 100-year-old woman. You are blessed. You are celebrated. KJ wishes you all the best. Eric Jasper says, happy 100th birthday. Y'all, think about that. Just think about that. Donna Donald says, happy birthday. Look, 100 years, y'all. And here KJ's talking about, I can't even remember what happened back in 2010 other than the high points. I guarantee y'all, there were little things in 2010 that I can't remember right now that could have taught me so much. And if I can take time to reflect, it's not like we can't find 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there to reflect on whatever, whether it's in the past, present, or future. Reflection is good. Resolution is good. Happy birthday, says Miss DMC, to this beautiful 100-year-old woman. Jennifer Esslinger says 100 years. That's amazing. Happy birthday. And I feel very blessed that I was able to actually make the connection here, Kelly, that you knew someone. See, would I have ever met anyone 100 years old? And I haven't met her, but I've met someone who knows her, right? That's cool. We usually see stories on TV about it, but that's about as close as it gets. CHP says, I am painting today. Don't have 5 minutes today. Well, there you go, CHP. Well, just as KJ's got to go in here and do this laundry and this sink full of dishes with a broken damn dishwasher. During that time, yes, I have to focus on things, but there's always room to reflect. Even in the midst of your production of whatever you're doing in your life, you can find it. You probably have done much reflecting and don't even realize it. Shirley, that's her name, 100-year-old Shirley. Now, isn't that an inspiration, y'all? Do you think in 13 years from now that you'll look back and say, I was there when Kelly Cantrell was telling us about Shirley turning 100 years old. There's so many beautiful things that old KJ has forgotten about the little things in life. Y'all, the little things do matter, and y'all know it's true. I mean, they've got to matter. We've got people out here, these entitled people out here in the world, these famous people out here, these rich people out here in the world that do great things every time they're on the freaking damn camera, or at least out there things, or however you want to say it. So what is an old girl from Tennessee, 52-year-old girl, old KJ? My life matters. Your life matters in the seconds, in the minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years. You matter. Even in your mistakes. Because things can be learned, and the greatest lessons are learned in mistakes. If for nothing else, if OKJ doesn't learn from my mistakes, I can at least learn not to beat my ass up over my mistakes. It's harder not to beat myself up when it involves someone else. When I make a mistake and someone else is involved in it, that's the killer for me. But if it's just me making a mistake, thinking yesterday was the 13th year anniversary of 9/11, and that was a very solemn, important day, and I got that shit wrong, something good is going to come out of it for OKJ. And what is it for me? I can't speak for you. That is I'm going to take time to reflect on my life, my past life experiences, try to use my freaking thinking cap, ask that question to myself, why is it that I have forgotten March of 2010 or September of 1979? You know what I'm saying? What can I remember? What can I find? Whether it's pictures, journals, talking to other people who are around at that time, that can help me recollect. Because recollection, we're not always going to be 100% on it when we do recollect. But we sure can learn more. We can resolve those lessons, is what I meant to say. The 112-year-old said she smoked a cigar and had a shot of whiskey one time a week and did one kind deed every day. That was her key to a long life. Well, bless her. Bless her, Eric. That's pretty awesome. Well, God bless you, Lily Jahan. I won't remember this. I'm already starting to call my grandsons the wrong names, including calling one Goose, which is the dog's name. I get your point on that, Sam Willow. Please don't get me wrong. As we grow older, yes, memory does fade. It does. And unfortunately, there's also people that might get early signs of dementia or health conditions, medications. Just medications alone can really mess with somebody's memory. What I'm saying is that isn't that worth a try? Isn't it worth a try to look back? Not only just for memory's sake, but to look at those things that might have been unresolved. And knowing what old KJ knows now, being able to look at it in a more mature light, being able to be outside that past. I'm standing here in the present, looking back into the past with my 52 years, and maybe I was 12 or 22 or whatever back then, and being able to see it for what it is. There will even be things that old KJ can recollect that I can give my ass a pass on, that I wouldn't have given my ass a pass on back then. And in fact, there are things that I can give myself a pass on today if I remember them, that back then I tore myself apart about. And I can look back and say, you know what? Back then I was devastated about this or this or this. But now looking back, It wasn't as bad as I thought it was. And how about this, y'all? How about when OKJ brings up about where was I in 2010, and I talked about the time before that, how I was a single parent, 7 years trying to go to school, working a full-time job, worried about, having to take care of them, making sure food was on the table, crying myself to sleep at night, worried about what the hell was going to happen to my future, and all I could think about was the health and safety of my children, and how just absolutely struggle-filled I was back then. And I can look back today, and it's made me the stronger woman I am today because of it. Because guess what, y'all? I've said it. Think about it. Right here, right now, as you're on this live stream, you've made it 100% of the time in your life. It might not have been easy. It might be a freaking shitty-ass experience for you, or it could have been something that you had no control over. The bottom line is you're here today, and you matter, and your memories matter, and to show some resolution over mistakes. People think, well, that was way back. That was 11, 12 years ago. There's nothing I can do about it now. Make no mistake. It don't matter how long ago. If you've accepted it and know what it is, then that's good. You don't have to dwell on it. You don't have to dwell on it when you look back to reflect on it. But if there's something you can do, if you can take time, that is self-care, y'all. That is self-care. That's not living in the past. That's not wallowing in something that you know that's in your past, that's always been a little sting when you're reminded of it. Maybe the sting of it popping into your head, something triggers it. You think about what your mistake was years ago. Maybe that sting needs to be replaced with truth. And that would be your truth. Real truth. And the best way to do that is to look at it from the eyes of the mature person that you've become. Although I will say, KJ acts like a kid a lot. But I do know how to accept the fact that I am a little bit seasoned. And some of that seasoning did sting. And some of it was damn just cringeworthy. I've done a lot of things in my past that I regret. I've made monumental mistakes, y'all. I've asked God to forgive me of them. Once He forgives me of it, am I just never to think of it again? I think that it's all about knowing that you're okay with what happened, that I caused, right? I got to keep this on me. It's okay. I know for a fact it was my mistake. And being able to say, you know what? I'm not the first, and I'm not going to be the last to have to live with something that I regret. Just because I know for a fact God forgives me for those things that I ask in forgiveness does not mean I'm never supposed to think of them again. It's just like what I said, I guess, a couple of years ago. God forgives people who are earnest and remorseful and really want that forgiveness. They don't want to do that again and all that. But just because God forgives OKJ doesn't mean I don't have the worldly consequences of my mistake. Does that have to include me beating myself up for the rest of my freaking days over it? Hell no. Hell no. Well, Eric, that's very sweet. We all make mistakes. We swore we'd never. Those are good life lessons sometimes. Yes, we do. We do make mistakes, Olive. And should it just lead to, we make mistakes, we learn lessons from those mistakes, right? right? Or do we? Or we just make mistakes and just live with it? Okay, it just shows me how, everyone makes mistakes. I'm a firm believer that you learn lessons from it, which thus I say, if there are mistakes in my past, if I can reflect on those years that are a blur, because I know good and damn well those things that I don't remember, they could be hidden from me, and they could really help me out today to remind myself that yes, I forgot all about that mistake I made. And no, now that I have remembered it, I'm not going to sit here and beat myself up about it, but I am going to come to some resolution through this 52-year-old mind of mine. That's just me, though. Some people want to keep it simple. KJ's a freaking damn, I don't know, shit show or something. This is just me, though. I see nothing wrong with visiting my past, because the lessons I've learned and I remember from the mistakes I made, I implement. Oh, I ain't doing that again. I say that today. And those really help me. What about the ones that I forgot about? Were they not important? The mistakes that I myself made that I forgot about, they're not important? If I can't remember them, they're not important? Well, maybe, just maybe, time has a way of blurring things for people, for me. And if I know that the mistakes of my past that I learned lessons from help me today, would it be illogical to think that the ones that I have forgotten about, the mistakes that I've made, that I can reflect upon and come to a resolution about today, those things can help me as well. Thus, past and present is a big predictor of what goes on down in the future, if there is a future for OKJ. One time in the grocery store, I called my youngest by 2 wrong names and said, "Oh, for heaven's sake, what is your name?" A woman standing there rolled her disapproving eyes so hard. Bonnie, I'm telling you, I have come off crass. I've come off disrespectful. I've come off like an idiot. I've come off of all kinds of ways through other people's eyes. And they have a right to see me however they're going to see me. I know who I am, but I don't have to shove who I am and who I want others to know. I don't have to shove that down anybody's throat and say, "You're wrong because you see me the way you do," even if they're looking at me in disrespectful ways, thinking I'm a crazy woman, whatever. They have a right to think the way they do. It really goes back to their lens. I've got my lens, they've got their lens. Who's right? Beach Lady says, "We've all made mistakes. We all learn from them or deal with them in our own time." Hello, Carrie Ann. Eric Jasper says, "Honestly, I've seen people not forgiving themselves. That's led to their complete undoing in a bad way." I love your cray, KJ. Come on in. Yes, it really does come down to, Eric, how people want to handle their lives. This goes back to self-care, trying to be humble and honest. I fail at that a lot. I try so hard to do the next best thing, whatever that may be. But no matter what, when my worldview is this, y'all, in terms of humanity, I just don't think that there are people, I think all of us have the potential to all be even Steven. It's when our actions take us up and down that scale. In other words, overall, if there wasn't sin and crime and all that other stuff, everybody should be created equally. Everybody should be able to be seen equally. There's a whole bunch of people out here that look at someone, say, major on TV, and they all see the same type of personality. And then someone else will click through there and see that person, the same damn thing that all these people think is who this person is. And they'll go, what the hell? This does not interest me whatsoever. Everybody has a right to believe, to think, to see through their own lens, however they're going to do it. You know, and yes, it hurts me when people don't see me in a good light. But am I here to convince anybody to see me in a good light? No, I'm just throwing this out here. I'm being who I am. And the chips are going to fall where they may. If I put it out there, I've got to be able to take it. And that's the way it is. Miss DMC says mistake is my middle name. Cindy Bullock says a world without mistakes. I think that's a really good statement to make there, because you know what? Just as our achievements, just as we define ourselves through our love of our family or who we are as a personality, or in modest ways, or however, whatever your definition, we can have a world where everybody has something to celebrate, but a world where no one makes mistakes. Mistakes also define us, and can define us in good or bad ways. It really all depends on, to me, and this is just my view, how do I resolve the mistakes? Ultimately, priority, I give all my mistakes to God. Should that be the end of it? Well, He gave me self-will. There are consequences for my mistakes here on earth. He's forgiven me it all. He does not see those mistakes anymore because He knows I don't want to repeat them. But in terms of my life here on earth, the mistakes should be turned to lessons, and that's my view. Other people are like, mistakes are mistakes. Some people want to use those mistakes to browbeat everybody else or browbeat theirself. I mean, it's really a personal choice. Being wrong, mistaken, feels the same as being right when it is in real time, says Donna Donald. Maggie Lee says, mistakes are how I learn sometimes. Good morning, Voodoo Girl. Madam August Butterfly says, to love is to love an imperfect person perfectly. Wow, I like that. I really do. It's beautiful. So is your YouTube name, Madam August Butterfly. I guess that makes me a September Firefly. Hi, Michael Flores. So, chocolate chip cookies were a mistake. The lady was trying to make chocolate flavored cookies but discovered something better. I love the way y'all think. Hi, Seaby does everything. Hi, I'm new. What's happening? Well, we're just talking about mistakes. We're talking about resolving mistakes. We're talking about time and how, I mean, do you remember what you were doing in 2010? I'm sure a lot of y'all could say in 2010, I remember Thanksgiving, or I remember that birthday, these big moments. What about the everyday life, the everyday living, the freaking going and getting the laundry out, having a thought as you walk down the hallway that really, really was like, wow, that, I figured that out. These things, y'all, these little small little details in life, sometimes we just get faded. And the solution to the faded aspects of our past is to think, to recollect, My birthday, Olive, is April the 8th. That's my birthday. Yep. Do I remember every single birthday I ever had? At this moment, no. Maybe the last few years. If I look at pictures, I can remember what I was thinking and feeling and all of that. It's it's really, I guess, a big question about why is it that we only remember the major points. And well, why is it that maybe y'all can remember every damn detail? Uh, why is it that some of it fades away? It is part of my life. The past is part of my life. I don't want to live there. I want to live in the here and now. I really don't know what's going to go on down the road. But because the past is there, when people say the past is gone, I don't believe that. I don't believe it. I believe that you should never shut the door on the past. If you're going to say, I'm going to shut the door on the past, what are you saying? You're shutting the door over recollecting what went on in the past that helped you become the person you are today? To all of you that feels as though the lessons that you've learned in your life through your mistakes have began to fade, or they're only brought up in the moments that, like, oh, I learned, I'm fixing to do something here, and I remember something from the past, and that's the way it should be. Folks, just as the rings in the tree, we've learned so much about ourselves, not to be self-centered, not to let the world revolve around us, not to, just think of ourselves and nothing else. We're talking about self-care. It is an opportunity because, in my belief, God gave me that past. God is giving me my present time. God perhaps will give me a future. I believe I have an appointed time. And that appointed time is the last time I'm going to be here on this earth. What's in there? Before that appointed time, my past, my present. Your appointed time is not being lived. That appointed time is not being lived in the future. Because by the time that appointed time gets there, you're living in present time. Lord have mercy. Am I confusing myself? Am I confusing you? Yes, Madam August Butterfly, we do have the cicadas. I've got my fountain over here. It's supposed to slow my thoughts down. I guess I could go for the big pharma solution over my overactive mind, but I don't. I use cognitive behavioral therapy. I know when enough is enough. Beach Lady says you don't shut the door on the past, but you can't live there. Exactly. Live today. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Okay, so yesterday is gone, Olive Heatley. But that yesterday that is gone taught us lessons that we're using today in our present time. And will go on to help us down the road. Perhaps. Maybe. Probably. When am I going to get the new dishwasher, says CHP. Well, the dishwasher is not broke, CHP. It's just the top rack. It broke off the little railings there. And, of course, we've got it. We got the serial number. Wayne is supposed to be getting with them people. They're going to replace that rack thing there because the rest of the dishwasher is fine and dandy. And it wasn't a cheapie either. And that's why I don't understand why the damn thing, after 2 years, broke off. because it wasn't a cheapie. And I know all these appliances aren't cheap, but this one was top of the line shit, and it breaks off like that. I ain't doing nothing to it. I'm pulling it in and I'm pulling it out. It ain't like I'm freaking body slamming it and ripping it out, you know? One of these days, I'm going to meet my maker. I'm looking forward to it, actually. And and if that question, maybe it will be asked, maybe it won't matter. Did you squeeze every bit of your life that you had here on earth? Did you squeeze it all out and get the most of it? Well, I just refuse to say that because I've got to live in the present, that's healthy to live in the present, to be able to make plans, not complete plans for old KJ, but some plans for the future, that the past should just be forgotten. $13 years ago, 22 years ago, 1 day ago, Eric Jasper says, remember oh, that's funny. The old Maytag commercial, repairmen sleeping because they never broke. Yeah, we don't have products like that anymore. Yeah, I remember those. See, we remember the old-timey commercials. We remember all the... Why? Why do we remember the things we do? And why do we forget? Let me back up. Why do I forget some of the lessons I've learned? I know it was continuous in my past. They could have been great lessons. They could have been lessons learned from wonderful things that I'd done. They could have been lessons learned from devastating things that I'd done, the mistakes I made. I want to take time to meditate and reflect on that. There is nothing wasteful about that. That is not living in the past. It's finding time for my self-care to take 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Does it always have to be about something today has to remind me of what went on in the past? Does it have to be that way? And if I'm looking today for something to trigger to remind me of the past, what if? What if something today does not remind me of something back there that I should have damn well learned? Because I know I made lots of mistakes. And I ain't beating myself up about all the mistakes I made. By God, it's made me a better person because I learned the lessons. This saying that KJ has used many times about it is what it is, that's laziness on my part. That's me though. It is what it is. In other words, okay, it is what it is means, oh well. Or it means nothing's going to be done. It just is exactly what it is. Nothing can be done either way. Well, I refuse to shut the door on my past. I won't live in it. My past has made me who I am presently and will go on to continue. Today, right here, y'all, right here, right now, will eventually be the past. You get me? So, I hope everyone has a great day. I don't know, like usual, I don't know why I go where I go, but I do want y'all to know this. Every second, every moment of your life is precious. It's important. You are important. I love you all. And keep on looking.